So here we are again. I'm joined by filmmaker Kandace Cornell, who's brought her short film The Just to London. Congratulations on your nominations.
Thank you so much.
So tell us a little bit about the synopsis of The Just and the story.
Yeah, so The Just is about a guy who breaks into a house. He's kind of in a desperate situation and needs to do the first thing he can think of to just get some quick money right away. And he breaks into this house, and the homeowner hears it, confronts him, and ends up holding him captive. And as they're talking, the guy who broke in starts to explain a little bit about his backstory, his situation, and the homeowner starts to kind of feel for him and starts to understand where he's coming from and agrees to let him go. However, a neighbor had already witnessed some of the break-in and had reported it to the police. So when the police arrive, they basically, I don't know if I should give it away, but
we don't have to give it away. We want people to see it.
Yeah.
But yeah, events unfold.
Yeah. The police end up getting involved, and there's some mistaken identity issues that come up as a result.
And that's it. So you're an experienced writer, but this is your directorial debut.
Yeah, that's correct.
How did the process obviously differ from, you can get ideas down in writing, but then creating it visually? How was that process for you?
The process was amazing. I was so used to just writing things and being in my own head and not really having an idea of what it would look like visually until I found these incredible actors who really just brought so much life into the project. And I had this amazing, I was so lucky to work with such an incredible crew. Everyone was so dedicated and really, really brought 100% to this project. And
did you know any of the crew
grateful.
previously, or was this a brand new, fresh slate of?
Brand new, fresh slate.
Wow.
I had a couple of different producers attached. I actually initially had a director attached. I had a male director attached, and I decided it was my project, and I wanted to direct it myself. And I'm so glad that I did. It was, I was really able to see the full process from page to screen, which again was absolutely amazing.
And not many get to do that.
Yeah.
Because obviously if you're taking a script that someone else has written and directing it, there's conflicts. Did you have any conflicts with yourself? Were you questioning, like, how was that? Was there anything that changed, or between script and screen?
Story-wise, you mean?
Yeah.
Not really. It really worked out. It was, I would say, more logistically there were issues that came up. Like, it took a while to even, getting the production going even took a little while because I had different producers attached. I had people who kind of had trouble finding locations. Location was probably the hugest hurdle that we had to overcome.
Which is crazy given there's street shots that begin it, but then it's in one location.
It's all one location, exactly.
Who was responsible for that?
Yeah, finding a house to shoot in was surprisingly the biggest hurdle. We didn't want
because there's a lot of them.
Yeah, you'd think so, and we didn't want to get an Airbnb that was like pristine that we would have to put back again. We wanted a messy looking lived-in house. And I was like, how hard can it be to find, a messy house in LA? Like, there's got to be somebody who would want to take a little money and let us shoot there. And in the beginning, I was so precious about how I wanted the location to be. I was like, it has to have stairs, and it has to have a hallway that's this long.
Back, the long hallway, which is relevant for certain scenes, so makes sense.
Yeah. Like I had a scene in the script where he runs downstairs with the gun, and I was so married to that idea that I was like, it has to be a 2-level. It has to have the stairs. And when we found our house, which was a ranch, we were like, well, we'll just have him run down the hallway. What's the difference?
And then you've got to come to a visual compromise of what you had imagined.
There's a lot of letting go of what the original, what was originally so important became not important anymore. Once we found a location that worked, I was like, I just want any house. I don't care. I'll make it work.
Because obviously that's one of the things. Then it's the stress, and you just think, you're losing the love. Of making it, and then you settle. So talk to me about, obviously we've got Sean who's off camera, but talk to me about casting and that process.
The casting process was incredible. I got all of my first choice actors, which was amazing. I really wasn't expecting them all to do it because it was such a small project. It was a gritty kind of male story, and I think when they came into the casting room and saw that I was the director, I think it was a little bit of a surprise.
Because you wouldn't have expected it to be a female director, given it is male orientated, it's gritty, and it's like a lad type short film.
Yeah.
So you
exactly.
broke that stereotype.
Right. So, I was hoping they would all do it, and it was towards the end of the year. I thought people were going to be going away for the holidays and weren't going to be around, and amazingly everyone agreed to do it. I had all either SAG or at least SAG eligible actors, and they all brought such an incredible work ethic to the film and treated it as if it were any professional project. So I was really, really impressed with all of them.
Which kind of helps with the process, because it's not trying to please people. They've got their energy. You haven't got to pick them up to then bring energy to the screen, because it's working. So once you're in the house, how long's the shoot process? Was it difficult with lighting, or there is a darkness to it anyway, obviously because of the time of the evening it's filmed, but was there any logistical issues with the setup and the confined space?
There really weren't, and for me, I had to really trust in my crew. And I didn't realize when going into it how, as the director, you have to trust everybody to just know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's so much responsibility at first, but everybody, again, was so incredibly talented and knew exactly what they were doing. And I don't even know all of the technical terms. I would have to say can we make it a little lower? And they'd be like 23 cc's and bring down the boot. Like I'd be like, I don't even know what this means.
Yeah.
And so everyone just kind of.
Do you know what it means now?
A little. I had to learn on the go for sure.
Right.
Everybody was just really great at intuiting my rudimentary notes and were able to, act accordingly. And I had such a talented cinematographer who I worked with closely with mood and tone, and we talked about other films we were, wanted to compare it to.
And get a style to.
Yeah, and he just really got my vision right away, and I just really I put all my trust in him, and he really delivered.
Had you planned on this being your directorial debut, or was, as you mentioned earlier, a decision when you went, I've got the script, I'm looking for directors, and then was it just a case of, no, this one's my one? Or was it a case of you couldn't find a director and you thought, but I know how I want this to go, damn, I'm doing it?
The way it really went is I wasn't even expecting to make it. To make this project. I had written this short film, and it sat in a drawer for a while. It was just an idea that I had, and it sat in a drawer, and I brought it into a writer's group. I brought it into like a workshopping session with a writer's group, and they were like, you should make this. And I was kind of like, I don't know how I'm going to make this. I have no money to make this. I'm not a director.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how I would do this.
I'm an ideas person.
Yeah, and I had the vision, of course, but I didn't really know how I was going to do it. And once, I don't know, so I was working with a friend who was like, I'll direct it. And I was willing to let him do it at first, because I was like, I felt like he got it. And as I just went on with it, I was like, I can do this.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make something. I wanted to make a project that I felt like I could physically do within my limitations, within my resources.
It's not like there's highway chases and all these things. It's something where you can develop your skills, hone in, but sometimes projects like this are the most difficult as well.
Yeah.
Because you've got to engage, and it's dialogue, and it's characters, and if the characters aren't bringing their A game and they're feeling a bit lethargic, and the dialogue's weaker in places, it just falls short. Which you do often see in independent films.
It's true, and I'm such a dialogue person as a writer, which coming from a real strong writing background, I love dialogue and I love playing around with that. So that's really that's kind of my bread and butter. That's really where I focus. So I was happy to do a project where I could do a lot of dialogue. I think the limitation of having one location was a big challenge, but again, I had written this thing that I wasn't expecting. I didn't write it with the idea of how can I logistically make this, and I think that's kind of the difference. I didn't go into it with the mindset of how can I write something that'll fit the logistics and the resources that I have. I kind of approached it the other way around and found the resources that I needed.
Yeah, that makes sense. So rather, because that's some people know how they want to finish a film, and then it's about getting it to that point, and this is a case of just writing the story and then going, and now let's go and see, rather than this how it's going to be, this is what's got to fall. Because sometimes you'll you're not following your heart, which obviously you need to. So was this a passion project? When did the idea first? Mistaken identity in things is quite high. People going to extreme measures to get by in life is quite high. When did this idea first develop?
It started when I heard a story about this. I heard a story about a guy, it was like a friend of a friend, and he was like, the weirdest thing happened the other day. This guy broke into my house, and I caught him, and I was like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, he clearly was not a professional criminal.
Yep.
And he's like, I had a gun in my closet, and I just pulled it out, and I was like, dude, get out of my house. And the guy ran out, was like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's so funny. I just thought this idea of like turning the tables on a robber was something I'd never heard of before. I would be terrified. And this guy was just like didn't think twice about it. And so I started thinking,
seen him making toast or something, and just weird.
Yeah, he was so blasé about it. He just like thought it was funny. And I was like, I would have been crying, and I would have been so scared. And so I thought it would be interesting to take it a little further and to see like how could I develop that? What could the aftermath of the situation be, and how could this person get deeper and deeper into this story? And and then I started to add these other elements about his backstory and what he had been through that would have gotten him to this desperate place. Because I wondered that too. I'm like, what has to happen to you in your life to make you feel like there's no other option than to do this? So so I explored that, but at the same time, the main character, Sean's character, is really also, he's kind of a hero and an anti-hero at the same time, because you don't really know if he's telling the truth.
Yeah.
And that's another element that I really wanted to play with, is I don't just want this linear story. I also want some complication, and I want kind of a little bit of unreliable narrator, and I wanted this idea of like, do you believe this whole story that he's giving to this guy?
Then it reaches its climax, and you're thinking, and you look at it as an audience member, and you go, it can go either way. It's almost an ambiguous sort of thought process as you're watching, if that makes sense.
And my feeling was, I don't want you to fully trust anyone in this film. It's I think people come out with different reactions, where they are rooting for one character over another, and I think it's really interesting, because I think you could make an argument for why any one of them is sleeping the sleep of the just. Is kind of that was the way that I thought of it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, what's next in terms of you writing more ideas down? There might be confidential things which you can just dodge the question, but you're happy with this film, and are you going to take sort of the process and look to do it, or are there things that you're going to change in the way that you direct going forward?
Things I would change in the way I direct going forward. I think I would definitely would want to learn more about the technical aspects of things, because that's so helpful, when you're on set, to know, exactly what's going on with lighting and things like that. So I would like to get a stronger technical knowledge.
Yeah.
In terms of directing, though, I mean, I had such a great time doing this, and it was such a wonderful experience. I don't think there's anything about it I would change. Sure. And as for what's next with this project, that kind of remains to be seen. I wasn't planning necessarily to expand it into a feature, but I've gotten a lot of feedback that they could see it as a series. Yeah,
there's potential there with the characters. I wouldn't know myself how, but I can see why you'd get that feedback. And if it was obviously phone booth run as a feature in one kind of small location, the dialogue's good enough and there's meat on the bone, could happen.
Yeah, something episodic, maybe I'd be open to that, in fleshing something out and seeing what we could do with it. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy the festival, and
thank you.
Enjoy London.
Thank you so much. So happy to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you for making it all possible.